So when life and time around you have slowed down, then you start to realize that, so what should I do? What can I do? What will I do?
Hi everyone, welcome to Own Your Story. Today I'm talking to Ken, and Ken is a organization transformation coach, and he's also the founder of Global Knox. We are talking about Everest Base Camp today because recently, just last month, we completed our Everest Base Camp Trek together. And a little bit about our history, how I didn't get to know Ken is that he's my first client when I got into creative industry as a writer. I collaborate with him on his upcoming book, which is coming up next year. Like, accountable. Yeah, and then this year we also got into this base camp thing together because I signed up first to this camp, or the trek organized by Free and Easy Club, and then Ken get to know it, and then he was like, oh, this is my dream. First, to start off this conversation, what does EBC means to you? Why is it when I told you about EBC your eyes lights up?
I come from a background of outdoor education, so I started off my career in Outward Bound, Malaysia. Those days, the first Malaysian that actually climbed Everest, one of them is actually an Outward Bound instructor. A young man like me at 21 years old being with Outward Bound and seeing that, hey, you know what, one day I want to be there. So I think this is a dream, and just last year I spoke to my wife and said that, hey, you know what, this is still in my mind. And so when Isabel told me that she's going, I was very excited, and I think it means a lot to me. It means that I am still capable to do whatever I want to do.
You're still young. We actually did the base camp in a 12 days trek, but for Ken it's shorter because he took the helicopter down for a different experience. If you are only allowed to use 3 words to describe it, what would be the 3 words?
I think the first word for me is human. We went with 25 people.
Yeah, 25 of us.
There's a lot of realization about the human strength, the human relationship, the human power. The second thing is about us going back to human again. I think is the care and love. I think I journaled in the expedition, and I wrote a lot about the love and the care of human being. We are a group of people who don't know each other, and how much of love and care that we can give to each other. In the trip, there is a daughter and a father. There is a family of 3 persons, a father, mother, and a son. And there's another one is a mother and a son, right? And the rest are all strangers. At one point I was thinking it's all about going to base camp and reaching base camp. And after going through the expedition for 12 days, reaching base camp is not the biggest challenge to me.
Is there any moment that moved you the most?
Yeah, I mean, it is in the expedition itself. I have a roommate which is the other youngest guy, and he actually if I remember, on day 6 has the altitude sickness, and what moved me is the choices that a mother is making and the choices that the son is making. And the choice of the son is to say, Mom, go ahead, go for what you want to achieve in this journey. Of course, it's very difficult and very challenging for the mom. I can see her in tears, but being strong in front of the son, and even the son being strong in front of the mom, but does have the moment of breaking down, and it's a very challenging moment for both of them. That I felt that the care and the love is there. The other moment, it's a father that's always being there for the daughter. So it's like, and the father is like capturing every moment that he can with the daughter. So I went to climb Mount Kinabalu with my wife, and do I also vision one day that my boys, 2 boys, will go with me. Yes, I do. And I want to see, and this put human into test. So I think that's very interesting for me to look at that, the care and the love in that.
What's your most memorable experience during this trek?
I think there are 3 moments for me. The first moment was being able to reach the base camp. Global Knox team have actually made a flag for me to carry it and take the photo over there. And the other thing was the other challenge that I didn't foresee, which is to climb Kalapata. Kalapata is quite similar like Kinabalu, where you have to wake up 2:30 in the morning, get yourself ready, and we need to start walking at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we have to walk about 45 degrees up for about 3 hours. So that was something that I didn't foresee, and that's the first time that my dry bag or my camel bag, the water frozen. It's like,
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it was so torturing to just like get changed and step out because it was so cold. But that day, my most memorable thing about that day is the sky. It's a night sky. It was so beautiful, like full of stars. Because we never really get to go out at night because it's just too cold.
So the third one is the helicopter. So I guess
that's one of Ken's dream as well.
So I've not sat in a helicopter before, and it was also shared by a friend and said that it's going to be very memorable to be able to sit in a helicopter and you'll be able to see the Himalayas and everything. So it was a good ending to the two big challenges and being able to sit in a helicopter and go down. So I think that will be the 3 most memorable moments for me.
Alright, and this is a long trek over like extended period of time, and at times the extending is a lot. It's just keep going up and up and up, and we got so tired. So how do you motivate yourself to keep going?
So every day knowing where you're going, what you're doing, I think it helps us a lot. I think it's the inner fire that I have is like, I know I'm here for this, and
the purpose, sense of purpose.
Correct. It's like there's a goal to achieve, and I just take the step one day at a time.
And then coming back from Everest, like how we started, how we coming up with the idea for this podcast is also, I told you last week, I had this existential void coming back from Everest because from the mountains back here is such a big difference in terms of environment, in terms of people, in terms of the things we see, the noises. And I was like, I question everything in my life. It's like, okay, now I'm back. What should I do? What matters? What should I create? What do I have to say? What do I want to say? How do I say it? It's like so many questions come back. So for you, how does this trek impact you from, let's say, from 3 perspectives? Your routine, has anything changed? And then your perspective in life, and then your character, like as a person.
There's a little bit of lost moment. I was in a lost world for a while. It's like, so how do I live my life right now, knowing that I have achieved one thing in my life, and there was a very calm moment. However, the calm moment is also a confused moment. So it took about a week for me to come to a point to say that, so this is who I am. I have found some clarity in myself, and still finding the clarity, because after I come back straight, I was on program already. I was running program, I was coaching, I was running team building. So that allows me to reaffirm myself and say that, is this what I really want to do in my life? So that's one part of the routine.
Right.
The perspective of life, because inside the trek, I actually bought a book to read, which is by Robin Sharma, the guy who sold his Ferrari. So in this book, it helps me to understand a lot of things. I think one thing that I realized on myself is I value more things in my life right now.
In terms of that value, can you explain more?
Very simple. It's like time. Time is something that I value even more today in my life. and I also start to realize that I was rushing in my life. So I was like rushing everything.
One thing after another.
Yeah, after another thing, and not appreciating things that surround me. So when I come back, I start to see, hey, life slow down. So it's like, okay, so when life and time around you have slowed down, then you start to realize that, so what should I do? What can I do? What will I do? So this is like, you somehow have like time, you have so much time, and you're asking yourself that what you want to do with your time. So in that point of perspective, I think that was something else different. In terms of character, I'm more calm, and I see things more positive, whether you call it positive psychology or positive emotions. Whenever I face with any challenges nowadays, I always look at a positive side. Again, the book helped, the expedition helped, and I think if I were to do it again, I would do it a tougher one, you know. And I still think that if journaling is a good thing, having a book with you, whichever book that comes at that moment in your life, that's good. And the tough, the challenging moment. So when all these three comes together, I think it's a very powerful thing.
When these three things add up together, what is the impact on you?
Clarity. I'm able to find more clarity in myself. Appreciation of time, which I start to realize that, hey, what can I do with the time that I have? Willingness to let go. So I mean, being away like 15 days from the business
as the owner
and trusting the team and allowing it to happen the way it needs to happen. So trusting the process, trusting myself.
So just now you mentioned that you would encourage anyone to go on EBC Trek if time and the financial allows. So if you are encouraging someone to do it, what would be your 3 top reasons that why should you do an EBC Trek?
So number 1, I think everyone should challenge themselves. Meaning doing something that you may think that you can't do it or not capable to do it. I think by doing that allows you to take a big leap in your life. Meaning this is also an opportunity for you to strengthen your own trust and your own confidence to yourself. The second reason, I think sometimes when we do all these things, we get to see the human side of things. I think by going back to the nature, we connect a lot of things. I mean, simple as the trail itself, we see yaks, we see horses, we see buffaloes, we see people suffering. Okay, I see people, as we are walking up, people are walking down, or as we are walking down, people are walking up. However, within the suffering, there is this very positive energy that they build in themselves. I mean, when I see them having the physical, the emotional, or the psychological challenge at that moment, but I also see the positiveness or the positive energy that is actually built in them without them realizing.
The determination. Correct. A lot of people has that when they do that. It's like that vibe. That's the beautiful thing about it.
And the third reason for me is the whole scenery and the whole process, right? When you think that things are within your control, and then everything is not within your control. So meaning that at that point you surrender yourself to the whole the whole environment, the whole natural, and this is where I feel that you start to find yourself more and deeper, to see life, to appreciate life, and
it's a whole new so different there. You see like really hard, tough mountain life where people carry so much weight. It's like close to 100 kilo and going up. I just couldn't make sense of that.
You see life, it's just interesting to be able to see life again in life.
That I think that's the thing that challenge us, that give us a new perspective, that force us to think about our existence. Why are we here? What can we do? That kind of questions. Alright, so we come to the end of this conversation. So before we end it, is there anything that I haven't asked you and you would like to share with people about this trek?
Potentially some of the important thing is equip yourself,
keep yourself warm. I learned 3 tips, 3 things about high altitude trekking. First thing, eat well. Second thing, sleep well. The third thing, keep your body warm. As simple as that. Really, it's not that hard, but you need to do this basic thing well. There's a question as well from Facebook, someone asked, is Everest as dangerous as the movie? Just to let people know, base camp is the safest trek in the world. I think the level of comfort is proportional to how much you are willing to pay, and the difficulty comes with the level of oxygen and altitude.
Before I go there and before I have this experience, I thought you know what, we'll be sleeping in tents, we'll be
that never happened.
walking many hours, and
that does happen, but not that long. Every day is about 5 to 6 hours.
And as long as you walk and you gradually walk, and you
slow
gradually
and steady,
and you gradually gain the benefit of the altitude, it is doable for a lot of people. And that's when you appreciate a lot of things. A cup of hot water.
Oh, that's the best thing.
In the morning, or every morning you get to see the sun. So those are the things you appreciate, and you get to see humans' life. How do the Sherpa live in that kind of challenging environment where the weather is extreme? Is basically through community. They survive through a very strong community where they support each other.
I see.
Which is going back to human.
And even the trek itself, having so many people together, is community as well. It's conversation. There are a lot of days where we don't get connections and no phone, and everyone just sit together at the communal table and just talk. It can be a sitcom on its own. Alright, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you guys next time.
And thank you for your time.